Okay, today we're going to be covering the Angels of the Zariman Dormizone player housing units. These can be accessed by literally going through the Start Short node, or by going through the elevator located in the chrysolith. This video will cover a general overview along with Easter eggs and skybox information if maybe you came from my Drifter Camp video. The Dormizone is broken up into 5 different sections, but the first section that you load into or walk into if you went through the elevator is what we're going to call the lobby. The lobby is an L-shaped stretch of the Dormizone that is pretty plain. It doesn't have a whole lot going for it. It has a railing that looks over into the lower lobby, which we'll cover later. And then next to that railing are 3 consoles next to soil beds, and one of the consoles was teased on a dev stream by Reb to have text that indicated something to come. But it's not really reassuring when that text translates directly to soil purification in progress. I can't tell if we're getting teased for the next Farmville expansion or if something meaningful will actually come from that. The lower lobby is located directly beneath. It doesn't have a whole lot, except I would argue that this is one of the cooler sections of the Dormizone, but it's completely inaccessible. The only way you can actually get down here is by going out of bounds and looking around. The entire section is considered a red zone, which is also doubly annoying if you're trying to decorate the lobby section, because if a decoration pokes through the floor into the lower lobby, it turns red, and you're just fucked. And of course, if you have any decorations on the railing next to the overview of the lower lobby, then that's a red zone too, and then you're just double fucked. Maybe this is where we'll get the farm plots later after our soil purification is complete. Moving on though is the dining room. You can walk directly into the dining room from the lobby section. You can lock the door behind you, however, I personally don't see the appeal. The only reason I can think of for why this was added in, besides complete fucking boredom, is the Dormizone, unlike the dojo, doors open based on your camera position, not on your Warframe position. So in the dojo, if you put your Warframe next to a door, it'll open, but if you bring like a decoration camera next to a door, it won't. But in the Dormizone, the opposite holds true. So if you're trying to move around and decorate your dining room, your door is just going to be constantly opening, and that's annoying as hell. At a glance, my dining room is going to look really empty compared to yours, especially if you've just gotten there. And the reason being is the dining room is filled with decorations that DE has actually just given you. If you go into decoration mode, you're going to notice a lot of the furniture in there is actually a decoration that can be removed. Upon completing Angels of the Zariman, these decorations are given to you. You can pack them up, delete them, move them to your orbiter. It doesn't matter. They're yours now. That doesn't quite alleviate the pain of having to get decorations for this that aren't resource funded, but it's a nice start. I will say I appreciate it, if nothing else. This room doesn't have 1600 capacity like the lobby does. Instead, it has this arbitrary number. I don't understand. Also, by the way, if you go to delete all the decorations in this room, you can't delete this pot or these 2 trays. God knows why. If you try to remove them, you just get an error. Who the fuck knows? If we move past the dining room, we then enter the bedroom. The bedroom is my favorite by far, simply because it is just, or favorite accessible, otherwise the lower lobby wins, simply because it is very open and clear, and I enjoy that as a decorator. I personally prefer shit not get in my way when I'm trying to make something. And I have a cupboard curving into the room for God knows whatever reason. This room is pretty plain. It does have 1600 capacity. The only red zones it has are, of course, by interactable objects or by some of the doors. And then it also has a pretty neat Easter egg. If you switch into Drifter, not Operator, and you go over here, you will see that Teshin's swords are leaning on the door frame, along with a desaturating Duviri paradox effect. I don't know how many of you watching this were even there for the Duviri paradox announcement, but if you watch that, then you'll recognize the colorless effect we've got going on. And then also, if you crank up the music, these swords have their own music theme, and there's a tie-in to the Duviri trailer as well. So if you want to crank that up and listen to that, I recommend you do. There isn't actually anything behind this door, as much as the swords would hint that there is. Even if you leave your Drifter out in that room and go out of bounds, there's nothing there. So if there is something to come with that door later, it's not added yet. And then let's move on to the Vista Suite. The Vista Suite is a pretty cool area. It allows you to change the background skybox for the room. Along with the music for the room, they were dubbed audioscapes. The room features 1600 capacity and does have 4 different Warframe loadout displays, kind of like your personal quarters in the orbiter. The only catch is right now, for literally everyone, this room is inaccessible because you have to be max rank with the Zariman faction in order to buy the key to unlock the door to get there. But by going out of bounds like I have, you can get to it early, and you can also decorate. If you do so through the ceiling, you can decorate this room early as well if you want to get a jump start on that. And while we're on the topic of out of bounds, let's explain how to do that with the Dormizone, because I'm sure some of you are watching this video only because you have watched the Drifter Camp video and you want to maybe put a giant floof in the sky. There's a catch to this, but we'll get to that in a moment. For getting out of bounds, it is quite literally the exact same shit. If you've ever wanted to know why decorators are so dented, decorated, it's because we keep shoving our heads into ceilings. You can, if you want, use a decoration to stand on to shove your head into the ceiling. However, it's not necessary. If you go into the dining room, jump and slide into this little nook, and then enter decoration mode and go up, voila, now you're there. For skyboxes, we have two that we're going to touch on in this video. We have the Elevator Skybox, and then we have the Lobby and Vista Suite Skybox. The Elevator Skybox is literally located directly beneath the elevator. There's no trick to that. The Vista Suite Skybox is found by literally just going up once you're out of bounds. There's no fancy trick to this one either. You don't have to go to some specific spot and aim in this direction in order to find it. Just go up. In this skybox, there's actually a quick tease to the Deviri as well. You can kind of see a tree within the white. Not that it's not painfully obvious if you're viewing the Zariman from your orbiter anyway, because that's way clearer than this skybox is. But the conundrum is decorators who get out here will quickly find that you can't decorate it. For whatever reason, it's not even like it's a red zone. When you go to place a decoration, if it were a red zone, if you were to click, it simply wouldn't place, but the decoration preview would still be there. This, on the other hand, acts like it places, but then immediately gets deleted, because when you go to place something, it just vanishes and returns to your inventory, which makes no sense and is also incredibly annoying, because skyboxes have always been fair game. So under the assumption that this is a mistake and is going to change later, I'm going to explain how you would decorate this to appear by your lobby or by your Vista Suite if you want it to. So if we go and judge by the Vista Suite, if we go out of bounds and go over to the Vista Suite and we pop into the little skybox viewing, we can check that we are between these 2 points, and then if we look down, we are right on the edge here. So if we go out to the skybox, we're going to assume that the camera viewing point is somewhere around here, assuming that this does get fixed and you'll be able to decorate shit later, because I can't really imagine DE going out of their way to block it. And if they did, then that's kind of a shitty move, to be honest. I don't get why they do that. But assuming it does get fixed, then this is how. If you want to have a giant floof glaring at you from outside your Vista Suite, this is how you would do that.